Hey guys, it's TJ, a product manager here at Hapn, and we're going to do a full demo of the web and mobile applications. So before we dive in, this demo is coming to you because we have recently updated the app, so we want to create a new run through showing you how to use all of them, including those new features. All right, before we dive right in, we're going to take a look at the web application. So right away, you land on the main map, the live tracking map. And the live tracking map, the key thing to remember is always showing the most recent known locations of your GPS devices. Even if that location is 2 or 3 days old in the case of a device that you've powered off, that is the most recent known location. So that's what will be showed on the map. So looking at the screen here along the top, we've got some quick select filters so you can go between moving, stopped, different battery states, dead batteries, whether a device is charging. And we've also got our tracker list. And this is going to be for quick referencing where all of your devices are. It's going to show you the total count and give you a little miniature card showing you the most recent known location, most recent known battery status, and where the device is, the actual address. Now, from this location, we can actually dive into a deeper look at some of the settings, which we'll do after we investigate the map. When we click on the icon or the card as we just did, it's actually going to take us into a locked follow mode, which is very, very exciting. It's something that's really an important function and an important feature. When the device starts moving, it will follow along with the tracker. Now, on the left side, we're now getting that detailed tracker look. And here we're taking a look at a device that is currently in a location that does not have GPS. So if we take a look at this device, we're actually seeing a small map that is showing the radius of the cellular tower the device is connected to, knowing that it is within that location. And we scroll through, we're getting some detailed information, giving us its status, its most recent known location, where that cell tower is, and the range of that cell tower. So we know this device is within 1 mile of this cellular tower address. And if we keep scrolling down, we can see the last time it had GPS, as well as a written out description of everything that is going on with this device. Now, our application is able to see these different statuses, whether it has GPS, whether it doesn't, whether it's stopped, and whether it's moving. And this description is very dynamic. This status will change and tell you the vital information depending on what is happening with the trackers. A great way to think of this is the query if you were to ask our software, hey, what's going on with this tracker? This is what the tracker would reply. So that's very valuable information. Then if we scroll on down, we've also got the statistics about the device, the total odometer, the hours of operation, the external power voltage. So that's going to show us the voltage of the battery that it's attached to, if it is in fact attached to an external device, or in this case, vehicle. Then you can also get some information about the actual hardware. Here we can see this is an OBD device. We can see the IMEI, the ICCID, and the reporting mode that it's in. That's very valuable. Sometimes, especially if you're managing large amounts of trackers, it's easy to sort of lose track of what mode each device may be in. So we've put it in the statistics here. I always like to think of this as the back of the baseball card. You're going to get in here, you're going to see the stats about the hardware, you're going to see the stats about usage, all that important collected information. We've also got the ability to move through some of the functions in the web application quickly and easily here as well. We can get directions to the cellular location, we can get directions to the last GPS location and copy both of those two locations to our clipboard. We can also view the device in Time Machine, which we'll take a look at in a second. We can see its activities, positions, alerts. We can see the owner's manual, we can troubleshoot the tracker, or we can go to that device's tracker settings. All of this is incredibly valuable, and if we hit stop follow and resume, we're going to zoom back out to that main map. Now, one other thing to note here about the main map is when you have high concentrations of trackers, we do like to cluster them. By clustering them, we can show a cleaner main map, and then if you click on the cluster, it slowly will zoom you into where those trackers are, giving you a better view of their location. And again, similarly to the one we just looked at, if we click on the tracker icon, we lock into the follow mode and we get that same detailed tracker card for that particular tracker status. Okay, so that's the live map. The live map is where you're going to get that immediate, instant, right now view at what's going on with your devices. So in addition to live map, we wanted to dive into some of the other functions, such as Time Machine. If live tracking is where it is right now, Time Machine is that historical record of where has it been over a given period of time. So when we click into Time Machine, we're given the option to set up our Time Machine session. What kind of information are we going to look at? We can select from one of our preset slices of time. We're actually going to pick yesterday, but you can also query specific dates and times, giving you the flexibility to go further back than our presets may allow. In this case, we're going to choose yesterday, and then we're going to hit choose trackers, and it's going to let us pick up to 5 trackers per session to view their information on map. So we're going to select just a couple of our devices on this account, on this demo account, and we're going to hit go back in time. Now, as this calculates, you're going to see it will pop up and try to show both of our trackers. And along the top here, that means I'm seeing both of those devices. In this case, we've got 2 separated by a large geographic area, so it's much more effective to click on one of these icons and focus in and see just this tracker one at a time. The multiple trackers is really useful if you have a set of devices in one geographic location. That's going to let you really see all their activity together. But the key thing about Time Machine is I can see exactly what happened on the map with everything to do with this tracker. Now, if I start scrolling through, we're actually going to have the device move. You can see the icon is filling and is moving as we go through. And if we click on a single point, we're going to get what we call position snapshot. This is a detailed look at that exact moment in time. In this case, Monday, August 14th at 4:43 p.m. Pacific. And you can see this device was moving at 33 miles per hour at this address approximately at this time and date. And we're going to get a little status card. That same sort of plain language query that we have on the live map, we also have that embedded in our position snapshot. And we can also see the historical back of the baseball card as well, with the external power voltage, the hours of operation, and the odometer all collected right there as well. And remember, the numbers, the totals on the position snapshot are unique to that position snapshot. Another position snapshot is going to have different values. It is a slice of time. So Time Machine is a great way to really wind back the clock and look at exactly what's going on with a specific GPS device at a specific time. Now, again, each one, as I said, is going to be unique. So if we click in here, we're going to see different values for everything. Now, to back out of that, we simply click up here and we go to clear, and we will start over, and it will take us back to our beginning menu, and we can select a new time period or a new grouping of trackers. This is a great way to go back the day after a workday, and if you've got maybe delivery drivers out and about, or you had a lot of rental equipment get delivered to end users, you can simply query which equipment was supposed to leave, go to yesterday, and make sure everything made it to its required time. So in addition to Time Machine, which is that historical record, we also have the ability to take a look at activities as a different way to consume that historical data. Now, activities are broken down into trips and stops. Purely, that's how it's going to work. A trip is a period of time where the tracker is moving. Stop is a period of time where the tracker is not moving. And those are categorized and grouped together and bundled into these activity cards on the activity panel. Here we can see we've got a 5-mile trip involving this tracker, showing me my starting address, starting and ending time. And if I hit view in map, it will lock me in and show me that event, that activity, that trip in the main map, letting me track it that way. Now, this is not continuous. It's not going to show me anything else that happened on August 15th for this tracker, but it's going to show me that specific trip. This is a great way to really dive into a little bit more of a detailed, immediate view, maybe than Time Machine is. Time Machine is about the flow of an entire day or a period of time. This is about, hey, did that tracker make it to well site 4 for delivery when it was supposed to? I need to take a look. And as you can see, you can scroll through all of these tracker cards, and they're all going to give you different information about your different devices. We're also able to filter. So if we only want to see trips from only a certain tracker, we can hit apply. And now we're only seeing completed trips from one tracker listed over here. So it does allow you some flexibility to nail down the exact kind of data that you're looking for right here. Okay, in addition to activities, we also have the alerts. Alerts are everything that is triggered by your devices that you set up in the custom alert section, and we'll dive into that in just one moment. This report, though, is going to show you all those collected events here in one location. It's a nice, clean way to view everything that was happening with a device. And as you can see, I've been testing some ignition on off with this tracker, so it is populated quite heavily with that ignition on off alert for my personal device. Now, if we go back to our main menu and we head to boundaries, we're going to get to another really vital function with the Hapn GPS platform, and that is boundaries. So boundaries are digital fences that allow you to monitor the way that your trackers interact with a specific spot on the map. We're going to zoom in on one of our specific trackers here. We're going to find it in our list of devices. And when we click on it, it's going to take us to it. Now, don't worry, this is not the actual Great Western Forum. I just thought it was a snazzy name for the tracker around my current office. And as you can see, this digital fence is marked on the map. It's colorized so I can see exactly where it is. And anytime a device, any device on this platform, enters or exits this square, I'm going to get a notification, or at the very least, it's going to be logged in our reporting tool. So this is a very handy way to monitor not just a tracker, but a spot on the map. Now, creating a boundary is super easy. You simply click in, and initially, the boundary is a large circle that I can change the size of here, and it's going to show me the address that it's centered on. Most of our users like to do custom shaped boundaries, which the way we do that is by simply clicking this icon here, and each time you click, it adds a point and will connect those points. So you can draw any shape that you need for your, if it's around the main yard, if it's around a warehouse, if it's around a client's work site, you're able to draw in that custom shape however you need to. You can then select the color for the boundary and give it that custom name. So that way, when you get a notification, it refers to it by a name that makes sense to you and not just new boundary or boundary 5. Giving it a precise name that tells you what it's looking for is a great way to set up boundaries to get you maximum information when you get those alerts and notifications. All right, I'm going to cancel this one out. Now, you can have unlimited boundaries on our platform as of right now. So, adding them to work sites that you own, as well as adding them to your client sites, is definitely vital and definitely valuable. Okay, so boundaries, again, that's a hot topic that is very, very important. I think every customer of Hapn can benefit from a boundary in some way. So it's definitely something that's very, very impactful. All right, in addition to boundaries, we also have our reporting tool. So the reporting tool is broken down into 5 different types of reports. The first one we already looked at is the alerts report. We also have the boundary activity report, which is going to show you all entrances and exits into a boundary, as well as some contextual information about when the boundary, how long the device was in there. We're actually going to query this back a few days further, so we can get some data here to pop in. And as you can see, it's going to show you how long the tracker spent in the boundary, what boundary it was in, the entry time, exit time, and the approximate address that it entered and exited from. So you can get a sense of, was the device moving across the boundary, or did it just skirt around the edge? Maybe it didn't get to the location within the boundary that it needed to. Now, backing out to the reporting tool, we're going to take a look at the next in our sequence of reports, which is tracker activities. This is very similar to that activity panel in the main page, just in report form. It's going to show you a list of all the completed trips and stops with the applicable addresses, distances, and durations. It's a really good way to quickly consume a lot of those activities in one page. Now, the next report is the tracker positions report, and this is the sort of complete information. This is every position report, every ping that a tracker sends in, logged and categorized chronologically. This is great for troubleshooting if you have a device that's maybe behaving weird, or you've got something that is disputed. Maybe there is a client who's saying that a piece of equipment wasn't delivered on time. You can go back in and dig into the position report, comparing addresses and times, and make sure that your guys were either there on time or they weren't, and you can resolve the issue quickly and cleanly with data, and it no longer becomes take my word or take his word for it. Okay, now diving into the final report, this is the tracker usage report. We talked a little bit about the back of a baseball card, and this is kind of what this report is as well. It's going to show some total statistics, some total calculations for the devices. We're going to actually go in here and filter, hit apply, and expand our range a little bit and get some more data. But this is going to show us things like active hours. It's going to show us things like active days, which active hours and days are calculated via ignition and motion. So is a tracker detecting that the asset is turned on, and is the asset moving? Either one of those will be calculated as active. Then we've also got moving and odometer calculations as well. So this truly is the back of the baseball card calculating, how much is actually happening with these devices. It's great for calculating usage for billing purposes and making sure that your equipment isn't being used too hard or used over what the contractual agreement is for. Okay, so that is a look at all of the what I would call main active modes, but we have a whole other side to the web application that's equally as important, and that's the settings side. That's the admin side. And that's the thing that's unique about the web app versus the mobile app, is a lot of this administration is done in the web application. So if we click in the gear icon up here in this top right corner, we're taken to our settings. And this account settings here, this is simply, the owner of the account, the address that it's compared to. The interesting stuff starts on the second tab, which is alerts and notifications. And this is where you're going to go to configure the alerts, which alerts are important pieces of information that the platform can tell you about. And notifications are how it's going to tell you about it. One of the funny things that we always talk about with our software is, in an ideal world, you don't look at it very often. We tell you what's happening with your devices, and then you dig in when you feel like you need to. Well, the core function, the core feature that allows for that is setting up proper alerts and notifications. So they're broken down into different categories. We've got things like speeding, low battery alerts, various different movements. So if a tracker starts moving, you can get a notification, as well as boundary entry and exit. Batteries are very important because power, losing power on a tracker is, it's total data loss. It's not going to give you any information if the power is gone. So making sure that those batteries are charged and getting appropriate notifications when they get low for our battery-powered devices is really, really important. And this is where you're going to be able to go set all that up. We've also got other sort of almost tamper notifications. So if something gets disconnected, you can get that notification there. Ignition notifications for OBD devices and hardwired devices set up to certain equipment. That can be incredibly valuable to monitor both usage, authorized and unauthorized. That's a big calculation on how we do that. Then we've got the activities-based alerts. So if you want to keep tabs on how far something is traveling, you can definitely do that right here as well. And if you need to set a cap, like I want notifications if anything goes more than 15 miles, you can set that up here very, very easily, as well as some other duration and just sort of finish-based notifications. Then we've got our sensors and buttons, and this is where it gets very exciting. So the SOS button is unique to some of our battery-powered devices, and that allows you to get a notification when a physical button on the device is pressed. This can be used however you need to. It's not strictly an SOS. It can be used in a multitude of ways because it's one of the few alerts in the Hapn platform that requires physical manipulation of the hardware. So it's very, very interesting. And then on our GL500 series, we have the tamper notifications with the 2 front and rear light sensors. Those are both very, very exciting, and they can let you know when somebody is either messing with the asset that's being tracked or removing the tracker itself, whether that's for nefarious purposes or just making sure that they're getting in and getting charged on time. You can also configure different recipients to these alerts here. Now, these will be people that are not able to use your Hapn account, but are able to get alerts and notifications. Now, speaking of using your Hapn account, you can also configure additional active users on your account as well. You can add people in as, I'm going to set a fake mail address here, and we're going to hit invite user. And once we have a valid address, you can configure that person as an admin, and an admin will have rights and privileges equal to the account owner. So they're going to be able to change things that affect other users. Or you can set them to a collaborator role, and they can only make changes that affect them. So this is a really great way to sort of disperse the responsibility for success with Hapn across everybody who might be invested. You can give different pieces of the operations, different pieces of the implementation to different folks in the organization, and it gives you the chance to have a greater level of success with less pressure on individual user. So, user roles is a very, very important thing. It's a great way to get that information out there further afield in your organization. And it's also a really great way to use to potentially give your customers access to that tracking information and increase their value and make sure that they can see that tracked information. The statistical data like the active hours and odometer can be very useful. If you're renting a piece of equipment to someone else, they may want to see that information just the same that you do as well. You can also remove users as needed, change permissions, all sorts of good stuff from this page right here. Then we've got our tracker settings. Now, this can be accessed from multiple places. I believe I showed it in the live map how you can access it. But this is where you're going to customize each individual tracker to behave how you want it to behave. We're going to dive into my personal device here and hit edit. And when we do, right away, we can edit the icon. We can change the name and description, which, much like boundaries, changing the name and description is really, really important because it allows you to get specific information when you get alerts and notifications. We're going to refer to the tracker by this name if you have a custom name. So setting one up that's detailed and accurate is incredibly vital, and it really, really helps make sure you know what's happening when those important alerts and notifications come in. Scrolling down, we can change what's being tracked. We can also, from this page, change our reporting mode. Each tracker will have its own unique reporting modes. We've got some articles in the Help Center that I'll link to in the description of this video that'll explain that a little better. We're not going to go into full detail for every reporting mode, but you can change how often your tracker is sending its location right here in the app immediately. You can simply click on the one that you want, and it's going to ask you if you want to make the switch. You tell it yes, and it will happen over the air. You don't need to recover the tracker. You do not need to contact support. You can do it immediately and actively on the platform for all of your devices. And they've all got varying different types of reporting modes. Some are battery saving. In this case, this tracker is attached to my vehicle, so I don't have to worry about the battery. So it's much more about data. Do I want immediate fast data, or do I want consistent data predictably at set times? We can also control whether this tracker is going to generate trips, what the stop threshold is. So that way, if you're noticing you're getting a lot of very short trips and stops, like traffic is, I live in Los Angeles, and traffic sometimes can induce stops. So I set my stop threshold very high. I set it for 15 minutes. So that means the platform is going to be calculating a trip unless I am stopped for 15 minutes and 1 second. Then it will stop the trip and start calculating a stop. And you can customize that value to what works for you. Then we've also got the ability to set an active hours custom value. So let's say you have a piece of equipment, let's say one of your mini excavators, when you come on board with Hapn, already has 35 hours on it, and you're doing maintenance every 600 hours. Well, you want to get that 35 hours already input into your data so that way it's consistent. All you have to do is simply click update, add your custom value, and then hit update, and it will be applied. It should be noted that this value will apply to every instance of active hours being displayed. It's going to be reflected in all your reporting. So that means if I change this, that means my report values will always have that custom value added in. That's an important thing to note for data consistency's sake. If you have trackers that are going to be changing from USA and Canada to international usage, you can change that option right here, and you don't have to change the SIM card, nothing like that, and it will make sure to be on the correct mode, network mode for international travel. The important note about this one is to make sure that you do it before you travel. So let's say I'm leaving California and I'm headed to Asia for an event, and I need to take my tracker. I need to put it into international network mode before I leave the States. Then when I'm coming back, I need to put it back into USA Canada mode before I leave wherever I'm traveling back from. So that's an important note there, but it's also very handy to be able to do this without having to call support. You can simply do it immediately in your own application. We also have the odometer setting, which is very similar to the active hours setting in that you can set a custom value. Let's say your car already has 12,000 miles on it when you decide to come on board with Hapn. You attach that OBD. Well, you want that data to match. And our trackers are tracking internally mileage, not tracking mileage via the vehicle's computer. So setting that value, putting that 12,000 miles in as your custom odometer value means that it will match the vehicle and the tracker's calculations together. We can also adjust different sensitivities for the ignition voltage for our OBD trackers and our hardwired trackers, which is very handy. And then we've also got some stuff all the way down where we can see, again, those statistics. We can contact support. We also have some troubleshooting abilities here in the web application that are very, very handy. We can manually ping the device. We can manually reboot the device directly from this application. In case we're having any issues, you can contact support. They can walk you through the usage of these tools. So that way we're minimizing the amount of downtime by you having to maybe return a tracker. Instead, we can troubleshoot it on the fly directly from the app, which is very, very valuable. And then we've got our other settings down here at the bottom. Now, certain trackers will have different settings. So for instance, if I hit back and go back to my list and select our GL501 series trackers, you will see, first off, it will always have different reporting modes, model to model, but also it's going to have the ability to configure and enable or disable things like the tamper sensor. That's a unique feature to this piece of hardware. So that setting will only be there for that device. And there's a couple of other options that are specific to different devices as well. But anything that can be changed with the physical hardware, it happens right here in this tracker settings page. All right, now shuffling off to our next little tab here, the final tab, we have got our basic platform settings. This is going to be things like time zone, map style, which we have mono, light mode, dark mode, and satellite mode. We've also got distance units and speed units. That's how are things going to be measured. You can also configure the home page to land on whatever screen you want it to. I recommend using this on the one that you use the most. I like to look at the live map because I like to be able to get in quickly and see where everything is immediately. But maybe you're using reporting tools the most and you need to land on that reports page. You can set it up right here, save yourself that little modicum of time of navigating the application. Okay, guys, that is a quick rough and ready look at the web application. We're going to take just a second here as I swap things over, and we're going to take a look at the mobile application next. Okay, now we're going to dive into a look at the mobile application, and we are landing on the same live tracking map that we saw on the web application. The only major difference is that tracker list is now down here at the bottom. And if we scroll through and find one of our devices, we can actually search up top and click into follow mode. We're getting the same exact experience. We're now following this device just like we were on the web application. Now, the only major difference is there are some new options available in mobile, given the fact that it's a mobile device. And one of my favorites is the ability to quickly tap to get directions directly from the card and utilize this device right here, my phone, to tell me how to get to somewhere. That can be very, very valuable. If you're on Apple, it will leverage Apple Maps. On an Android device, it will leverage Google Maps. And those are the two mobile platforms that our application is available for. If we click out of there and then hit our resume, we're taken back out. Now we do the same level of clustering. So if we tap in, we're going to get these devices opening up. The cluster's getting smaller and smaller. And we've got the same filters along the top that we can click through, seeing different statuses right up there. A very, very important feature here on Live Map is, again, that same idea. Everything that you're seeing on Live Map is the most recent location that we have. We're never going to show old data on the Live Map itself. Now, down along the bottom, we can navigate to Time Machine, which is going to have the exact same setup that we had previously on our other web application. And we can simply select a couple of our trackers and hit go back in time. And we're going to get the same experience. We're going to see the exact same data as we start scrolling through. You can see the icon is moving, and we're able to see those position snapshots as well. It's all exactly like it is on the web application, simply in a mobile format. It's very exciting. It's very important to be able to get both the bigger picture that you get from the map, but then with one tap, I can dig into a specific moment and see exactly what was going on with this tracker. Now, if we hit down at the bottom, you can see we can also go to our activities list. That is the third icon in the bottom row. And that's, again, the same thing. It's a list of our trips and stops that we can tap in and view in map if we want to. Then we can simply back out and go back to our tracker list here. And we can filter it up top in the same way that we could on web application as well, by tracker, by type, by all sorts of different information there. Then here at the bottom is our main menu. Again, we can go through those same things. We've got our list of trackers right here for quick navigation. And one hidden trick about the mobile application that the web is not capable of is our barcode scanner. So if I grab one of our GPS devices here from just off camera, and we tap into the scanner, and we tap into the scanner and scan it, you can see we're taken right to the menu for this tracker. And we're able to tap in, and we're now following that specific device by simply scanning it. Hopefully that shows you how easy this can be utilized in something like a logistics environment where you're trying to make sure that you've got the right piece of equipment going to a customer. This is the way that you're definitely going to do it. It's a very handy tool, and it's very unique to the mobile application. It's something that lets us really lean into the idea that this can be used in the field. It's not just a desk application. It definitely does that, as we saw with the web, but you throw it on an employee's phone, you throw it on a tablet that lives out in the yard, you're going to be able to get some in the field application as well. So heading back to our main menu, we can also go through, take a look at things like users, tracker settings, our same account management. Some of the things that you cannot do on mobile is adjust the specific alerts and notifications. And some of our boundary information, like creating boundaries, can't be done on mobile yet either. So those are some of those core admin tasks that you will need to do on the web application. But the trade-off is the mobile application has some of that immediate capability, that in the field capability that we talked about, especially when you're looking at that scanner. The tracker list, like we said, simply swipes up from the bottom and allows you to quickly navigate to different locations. And much like the mobile app, you can, or the web app, you can navigate to all of your different information spots here. You can view it in Time Machine. I can tap and go straight to my settings and adjust that information directly from the menu there. It's very quick, it's very simple, it's very easy to navigate. Okay, guys, that was a look at both the web and mobile applications for Hapn. We're very happy that you are here with us. And please reach out to our sales team via the website. I'll have a link down in the description, or reach out to our support team if you need any help. Again, my name is TJ, a product manager here at Hapn, and thank you for watching.